Thank you, Tramhan. It's a pleasure to be here, first of all. Good afternoon, everyone. So those of you who are trickling in, take your time to settle down. We don't have to go with quantum speed right now. My name is Shadab Tayabi. I'm the president of the Singapore FinTech Association. It's a very important topic given quantum is one of the main themes of the Singapore FinTech Festival today. And you'll also realize that it has been a tradition at SFF to actually think ahead of what's coming and think ahead of the trends, and also to set the trends for the global dialogue on some of the applications of the emerging technology. And it has been the case for many, many years. This is the 9th year that we are running. I'm actually joined by some very prestigious colleagues here from various sides of the industry ecosystem, academics, as well as from the industry. And very privileged to be here to talk about the applications of quantum computing into the financial services industry that we are all part of. But most importantly, to set the discourse of direction for conversations with the new talent and emerging talent as well. So you are at the talent stage, you are at the right place to talk about to hear about the latest changes that are happening. So with that in mind, let me just give a bit of a quick background about quantum computing, given that it has been an area of investment by Singapore for the past 22 years, as I was told. National Research Foundation, NRF, started investing in quantum computing, quantum technologies back in 2002, and it has come a long way. I will now open it up to the panel to start introducing themselves, give a flavor of what you do as well, and how is it related to today's conversation. Julian, please.
Sure. My name's Julian, IBM. I lead the business development for the ASEAN region and been doing this for the last 6 years, and I guess 2018. And I've been told that I've been told by NUS students actually that I may be the first quantum business development person in Singapore, right? So I don't know how true that is, but thought it's interesting.
That's great, Julian. Michael?
Hi, I'm Michael from SMU Academy, the professional training arm of Singapore Management University. So I'm actually overseeing finance and tech programs. So recently, or rather this year, we actually worked with MAS on quantum computing programs. In fact, we actually launched another shorter programs 2 years ago. So probably that's why I'm here. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Ying from the Center for Quantitative Finance at NUS. I'm working on quantum computing and also AI for finance and fintech for almost 5 years. And we will also introduce a quantum computing certificate program from March 2025 next year.
Thank you. Let's kick off. Julian, before we go on to a bit more detail, can you unpack quantum computing for us? And how is it applicable in the financial services industry? How do you see it evolving in the next decade?
Sure, right. I'll probably start by saying we should be celebrating because United Nations has called 2025 designation as the year of quantum science, right? And I think this is a very interesting time and forum, right, in SFF this year to be talking about this, right? And certainly a very, good time, right, to be getting involved into quantum computing. So let me start by saying that quantum computing is not a faster GPU, it's not a faster CPU, it's a completely different paradigm of computing, right? And my 1-minute version of explaining it would be the mouse in a maze problem, right? So classical computers tend to solve the maze problem one step at a time, right? You go forward, you turn left, you turn right, you go backwards until you solve the maze problem, you exit the maze, right? So think of quantum computing as smoke propagating through the maze, right? You go through all the corridors, above the corridors, all at once, right? So this parallelism, right, creates a tremendous amount of opportunities for solving a lot of the very hard computational problems that exist today, right? So where I see quantum computing for finance in the next 10 years, right, I think first of all, we need to acknowledge that in IBM, we view the current era as the quantum utility era, right? That means we are already very sure that the quantum computers that we have today, they may be a little bit noisy, may not function perfectly, but it really has a capability to produce more precise results than the best brute force classical methods today, right? So I think that's a very important fact to acknowledge. And as we continue to develop the technology in the next couple of years, right, we shouldn't be too far out from what we call quantum advantage, where we should be expecting full-scale deployment of this technology. So in the financial space, right, it's a very interesting space because, I mean, just look at the event around us, right? There's a lot of energy, a lot of talent, right, a lot of investments in this space. And the finance industry is very used to working with very large, complex problem, right? And this very large, complex problem, right, is also a lot of methods are heuristic-based, right? A lot of approximation-based methodology, right? And the industry is very comfortable with getting a 1% improvement, getting a 0.5% improvement, because this really impacts both the top line and bottom line. So it's a perfect place to start investing into this technology, right? So I think in the financial space, right, we really view four very broad categories, right? That is in the risk management space, the investment management space, the fraud detection space, and then the customer analytics space, right? So these are four broad areas where quantum computing may be, applicable, right? A very broad space, right? And the first deployment of quantum technologies is going to be a hybrid of classical and quantum. So think of classical techniques as very good at detecting the strong signals, and think of quantum computing as very good at detecting the weak signals, right? So think of the days before television, right? So we have radio, right? And then when the first black and white television comes out, right, it creates a whole new way of consuming information, but both by hearing and seeing. And think of quantum computer as adding colors to the color television, right, to the black and white television. So you get a lot more signals that you couldn't detect if it's just black and white, right? So that's the way to think about quantum in the finance space.
Michael, where do you see the applications evolving, and how do you see that?
The opportunities, I think in the finance space, quantum computing actually presents transformative opportunities, especially in the area of risk management, like what Julian mentioned, actually portfolio optimization and cryptography. One of the most immediate opportunities will be in the area of risk management. I think quantum computing has the ability to analyze a vast amount of data sets at unprecedented speeds. And then this actually gave us a much more nuanced understanding of very complex risk factors as well as the correlations. And the other area definitely will be in the area of optimization, because quantum algorithms actually solve, I'm actually a quantum physics person. Quantum algorithms can actually solve highly complex optimization problems. And this can actually give us, this can be applied in the area of, let's say, asset allocation, reducing transaction times, and then will help to reduce operational inefficiencies. But I think what companies should really do, especially the banks at this moment, should really invest in, take the opportunity, invest in quantum literacy. This is important. I think building the awareness in the company on the potential of quantum computing, as well as the application, the potential application, will actually allow the companies to actually position themselves strategically even before the full implementation itself. Yeah.
The crowd here is definitely investing in literacy, like their time in literacy, right?
Yeah. Even before, I think they will actually position them very strategically before the technology even matures. I think the other thing is actually very importantly, I think they should really also move in the directions of quantum proving their encryption and security measures, because actually quantum has the power to break the traditional encryption models. Yeah, thanks.
Let's go to the scary part later. Let's start with Prof. Ng on, do you have some gauge or predictions on the timelines that we expect when these will probably be, these applications, practical applications of quantum computing in finance would start to play out? And do you really think, what's your view on whether there's a certain type of hype right now, or do you really see it moving to a more, stable applied state?
Okay, so firstly, I think it's very hard to give a very precise, concrete timeline. And from my own research experience, I would say that now we start seeing some, quantum advantage in the large scale and complex problem. Actually, both Julian and Michael mentioned that it's very good for large scale, theoretically, but the question is if you really use it for the real application, do you really see the advantage? And before we only have this theoretical result showing that under certain conditions, the quantum computing algorithm can give us, a quadratic speed up, but that just remain in theoretical domain. But what we are doing now is to develop quantum algorithm and for really large scale, let's say portfolio optimization under realistic setting. And we see that if you have single objective, that means your problem, although it's large scale, but you only focus on one target. And in that case, the classic computing is still faster. However, if you have multi-objective, that means profit matters, risk matters, sustainability matters. In that case, and you will see that it becomes much more challenging for the classic computing to solve. And in that case, quantum computing can give faster result. So we start seeing some, for certain problem, we start seeing some advantage. But if you talk about the timeline for general advantage, it's very hard to predict because it depends on a lot of factors.
So help me understand this, right? Speed-wise, I read somewhere that there was an experiment in China where a quantum computer took 200 seconds to solve a problem which could have taken 1 billion years plus for a supercomputer to solve. Is that true?
I would say that is a so-called hype. Yeah. Actually, I'm actually applied mathematician, right? And I'm quite sure you read from newspaper saying that, classical computing needs hundreds of thousands years to solve certain problem. While you use quantum computing, you can solve it just a second or hour. I would say the reason is just because you use the wrong tools, the wrong technology, the wrong methods, right? And it's just like we want to go to Changi Airport and you can take a taxi, but you decide to work there, right? In that case, of course, it will take a very long time, right?
So what is the realistic multiple that quantum computing brings?
I would say that for certain problem, right? And let's say for most problem, let's say classical computing can solve it very fast. Just now, Julian mentioned that classical computing is very good to detect a strong signal because strong signal happen with high probability. But weak signal, the extreme events happen in the tails. And if you use a classical computing to generate randomness, and the tails is very hard to appear. But quantum computing can do it. So I think for us, the important thing is instead of say, I only use quantum computing or I only use classical computing, we should fuse them and we should know which one is best for certain problem and we cleverly make them working together. And that should be the future. And I think now, if you still remember certain newspaper, they talk about the salesman's problem and saying that they go to 100 cities and you need
traveling salesman problem, right?
Yeah, exactly. But actually, I have my friend here and he's an expert, optimization expert, and he can tell you the current algorithm can solve it within seconds, right? And if you use the right technology, you can do it. But the challenge is now we are looking for multi-objective, right? We focus on not only just a minimize risk or maximize profit. We look about sustainability, we look about well-being of our staff. If you put the multi-objective together, you will see your political frontier become very complicated. And this is what quantum computing can bring advantage.
Perfect. Now, let's just dive deep into the hybrid aspect of it as well, right? So let's talk about the emerging technologies that we are all very familiar with. Some of them are in the list of emerging technology applications we are exploring for SFF. Julian, what do you think, how will quantum computing enhance the emerging tech such as AI, blockchain?
I think there's, but personally, I'm not a fan of merging the two, right? Because I think quantum is still pretty much in the early days, but I think AI for quantum, right, is really at the leading edge, right, of the fusion of quantum and AI, right? Because using large language models, right, you can use these capabilities to actually help you to write quantum algorithms, right? And in IBM, we are already doing that, right? But for quantum, for AI, right, you're talking about quantum machine learning, right? Certainly a lot of research into this space, right? And I think that one's a little bit further out, personally, right? So if you talk about blockchain, right, it really talks about the idea of using perfect quantum encryption, right, in the space of blockchain, right? So quantum communications, I think that's probably like 10, 15 years, right, out. So I think that's still a bit far out, right, in my personal opinion as well.
Prof. Ing, do you have anything to add on that?
Actually, I would say that AI, let's put it this way, AI and quantum computing are not a parallel. AI is, now we see a lot of proved concepts using AI. And this AI application can be solved using classical computing, can be also solved by digital computing. Yeah, I think for us, the question is which is a problem we want to solve, right? And then we need to understand which perspective is good to be solved using classical computing, which perspective is good using quantum computing, and put them together to solve the problem more efficiently, more effectively. So this is what we should do. Instead of saying, AI plus quantum computing or quantum computing for AI, I think AI is the technology that can be nicely combined with quantum computing to solve the problem in a very nice way.
So it can really accelerate the evolution of the large language LLMs altogether. Can it accelerate?
I think for this moment, some colleagues are exploring using quantum computing for this large language model. But you must know we still have quite some hardware limitation, right?
Yes.
It doesn't mean that quantum computing now can solve all kinds of problems. And like us, we focus on large-scale portfolio optimization is because we see with the current quantum computing facility, we are able to develop quantum algorithm to solve this particular problem, right? But if you say, I really go with large language model and your objective function is defined differently, and the current quantum computing facility may not be appropriate yet. So it depends on, like you asked me the timeline, I said it's very difficult to predict. It depends on a lot of factors, the hardware, right? And for us, of course, you can develop some theoretical algorithm, but you cannot see the numerical results. So for me, as applied mathematician, I think we should use the current status, right, to solve the problem. And this is our purpose.
Sorry, Prof. Ing, I may be asking you the most questions because your name only comes to the professor, nobody else's. Michael, let me delve into the other side of this whole equation as well, right? You briefly mentioned about the security risk and so on, right? Can you unpack it for us in terms of how does it impact the current encryption standards? Potentially impact.
I think the potential, in fact, is actually that because of the ability of quantum to break the traditional encryption model, I think this will actually render current security protocols obsolete, and which will then expose a lot of sensitive financial data to significant risks. I think financial institutions should actually move towards more a quantum-resistant encryption model. And the other thing is actually because of the exceptional computational power of quantum, I think it also raised questions on data misuse and surveillance. Imagine that if the access of quantum computing is only restricted to a small group of people or organizations, this will create a substantial power imbalance. It's quite scary, actually. You will then see that then there will be a lot of cases of data misuse and even market manipulation with the kind of data that you hold with the restricted group.
What is the industry currently doing to overcome that?
That one, I'm not from the finance institution. I believe that I think they probably start moving towards more quantum proving. I think probably Julian will be able to answer.
I can add on to that, right? So I think if we go back to where the risk is coming from, it really boils back down to Dr. Peter Shaw's algorithm. So I think if you read about quantum, you're familiar with Shaw's algorithm.
Please treat us as complete novices in this.
Right. Yeah. So Shaw's algorithm, which is the 1990s invention, right, claims that with a perfect quantum computer, you can do prime number factorization really, really well, right? And it so happens that more than 99% of all of asymmetrical encryptions today, right, RSA 204, which is the gold standard, Delphi-Hellman, elliptical curve, right, or basically almost all asymmetrical encryption is used. So asymmetrical encryption is basically used for data in flight, and then symmetrical is typically used for data at rest, right? So that means when the perfect quantum computer comes along, right, we call that a cryptographically relevant quantum computer. It means that all of these current crypto is at risk. So which is why, being such a known problem, right, NIST, the National Institute of Science and Technology, back in 2016, they put an open call for code, right, for the brightest mind in the whole world, right, to come together to nominate, right, their post-quantum cryptography, right. So that was from 2016, 82 submissions, 4 rounds, and finally in August this year, 3 candidates were finalized. Right, these are the FIPS 203, 204, 205, and this covers basically key encapsulation encryption, right? It also covers digital signatures, right, and public key infrastructures, right? So this is the first of many more encryption to come. Why I say many more is because we really do not know what quantum computers can be good for, right? There's new branches of mathematics being invented, right, as we speak, right? And which means that these threats, right, could, move really, really fast. So we do expect a new era of where we need to be very crypto agile, where we need to rethink how organizations manage cryptography and be able to swap in, swap out cryptography very, very rapidly, right? So that is the state of where we are, right? I think deploying, right, this post-quantum cryptography, PQC for short, right, is going to be a big challenge in my mind, right?
PQC, please remember that, PQC.
Right? PQC or quantum safe, right? So think about, Log4j, SHA-1, SHA-2, right? These are just vulnerability, let's fix it, right? It's like whack-a-mole, right? But we're talking about a whole of industry shift, right, to a new form of cryptography, and that is going to take some time, right? Probably 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. The big question is, when is Q day going to come, right? Y2Q, right? Depending on who you talk to, what you call it. But it's probably going to come sooner than later, right? And we're talking about, in IBM's roadmap, we're talking about 2029 as the year where full fault error correction, quantum computers will be available, right? So the real threat really is today, right? Because of this thing called a harvest now and decrypt later attack. Right, so even though I may not have the powers of a quantum computer to read into your data, I keep your data, right, in my pocket, right? There's value to data over time, right? So blueprints to nuclear submarines, attention to critical infrastructure, right? What if I review those data 10 years from now, right? It's still going to do a lot of harm, right? So companies should really think about protecting their most valuable data today, right? And not
Are governments informed enough to remind the businesses, or businesses are more informed than the governments, which is always the case, except for Singapore, I think, sometimes?
If I may just add on, I mean, to mitigate the risk, I think companies should actually advocate for transparent and ethical quantum policies, working with regulatory bodies to actually come up with guidelines, to establish guidelines to protect data privacy and data integrity. I think that's very important. I think that's probably the next move. Yeah.
Which brings me to the question to you, Michael. Assuming that we have to be prepared for Q day, right? So how do you think the organizations should build the right pipeline and of talent specifically to support quantum innovation, especially in financial services?
I think we should look at it at three levels. I think first, I think at the current level will be the existing staff. I think what do we do actually? I think it should be quantum literacy more at the foundation level, introducing the people to the quantum computing, what it is, and the potential application. And I think should then work with institutions to work to create quantum-focused curricula to upskill or reskill these people. And I think at the same time, I think this company should also invest in quantum-related research, working with universities to ensure that they cultivate the right kind of talents in that space, in the specific areas that's pertinent to what they do. I think at the other level, I think they should look at also hiring. Well, I mean, at Backstage, we're talking about quantum talent. They should look at hiring, cross-discipline hiring. Instead of just finance, I think they should look at people with, say, data science, quantum physics like myself, and probably software engineering. I think this will help actually improve that talent pool. I think finally also, I think they should also get involved in industry, academia kind of activities like internship and hackathons and whatever. That's when they will actually bring awareness to the younger ones, especially on the kind of jobs that's required in that space regarding quantum.
Any secret ingredient for a quantum-ready talent for future?
Probably have to ask Julian. I think he will know more than me, because IBM has been involved in quantum since the 80s, I think.
Yeah, I would say, if you put somebody in front of a quantum computer, how am I going to use it, right? It's really very unintuitive. We're talking about subatomic particles, we're doing superposition and being entangled, right? It's not very classical, right? It's very hard for us to imagine, right? The closest understanding most of us probably have is, Marvels and the multiverse, right? Right. So I think to be quantum ready, right, I think there are a ton of resources out there, right? A lot of them, I mean, the Singapore National Quantum Office, right, is doing a lot in terms of putting open source, free platforms available for anybody in Singapore to access those. It's free of charge. In IBM also, we have this quantum network, right, and we have this Qiskit textbook, right? We have free access to a real quantum computer, right? 10 minutes free per month, right? I think there's a lot of materials to go out and actually start exploring, right? This technology.
Yeah, actually regarding the talent preparation, I think we should consider in different angle. We do have, let's say, students, like PhD students or master students. They should really gain the foundation stuff and also tackle the very deep and difficult questions. But we also have professionals, right? And they want to get the quick understanding and skill and knowledge on it. But I think the most important thing is if we think about Singapore, we are small, right? And we also have limited talents, not mentioning, let's say, quantum computing and also AI. So what we will do is we should leverage our international esteemed partner. Like for our certificate program we are introducing, we actually work together with ETH Zurich and also to the Institute of Berlin. And in addition to this hands-on experience, you really, use the quantum computing to solve the real-world problem. Although the problem are not that large and difficult, but you have first-hand experience. And more important, we will arrange, let's say, the visits to privileged labs, like the ETH has a quantum lab. I went there and I really hold a quantum processor in my hand, and you can do that as well. And we also arrange the visit to the leading company and successful spin-off in Singapore, Germany, and also Switzerland, so that the professional can gain the first-hand experience and insights, and to see how other countries are using this emerging technology, both AI and quantum computing, to develop their business perspective. So this is what we are doing. I think that will be somehow useful for Singapore to prepare the talent.
Question to any of you. Do you think Singapore can become the quantum hub for financial services in the near future? Do you think we're prepared for that?
I do think so personally. I think if you think about the other emerging technologies over the last couple of years, right, blockchain, right? IoT, AI. Singapore has always been very successful at the intersection of technology and business domain, right? So I think if we were to leverage those know-how, leverage existing the machinery of Skills Future, tech accelerators, right? There's so many academic programs, right? I do think we have a very good shot at being one of the first in the world that really deploys this technology into the industry. I do think so.
I think I also like to understand, like, both from you and both from you, Michael, and Prof. Ing, in terms of interdisciplinary collaborations that might happen. For example, finance experts working with quantum physicists, right? Do you think it is necessary to unlock quantum computing's applications into the real financial world?
For me, the answer is definitely yes. I mean, if you use quantum computing, you should ask yourself, what is the objective, right? What can it bring to you, right? And I think for our students as well as more broad, like a professional we are going to train, and we want them to have both the knowledge and the skills of the quantum computing, quantum physics, because you need to understand the foundation behind it, as well as the advanced mathematics. But also very important, you should have this business perspective. You know where you can use it and what could be the potentials. And with all this interdisciplinary background, I believe will really sparkle some great things. Yeah.
If I may add on, I believe in collaboration. I think in the world to come that I think we become the experts in every aspect, especially the tech is evolving so fast. I would imagine that the finance people would then be working with the quantum experts and then the cybersecurity experts. If you have a problem in the finance, you will need a quantum person to then come up with the algorithms to help you solve it. And then the cyber person would then come in to take care of the security measures. I think this is actually the kind of collaboration is important. I think organizations should look into setting up cross-disciplinary teams in time to come to tackle this.
And are there organizations in Singapore that can enable that to happen? Like, you wouldn't expect the traditional financial institutions to have that level of expertise in-house, right?
So probably I think they should start recruiting. I think from then on, I think which is what I earlier talked about, cross-disciplinary kind of hiring.
Yeah, I just add on, right? I think it's also, I've been hearing this, right, in the industry. Oh, we just went through a big AI motion, right? Does that mean they have to, get rid of these people and hire a whole bunch of quantum physicists now? The answer is no, right? You may have one quantum physicist, you may have 10 people that writes quantum algorithms and kernels, right? But you probably power thousands of data scientists, right, that will be doing actual work. I do think that the most important thing, right, is to look at your current talent pool, right, and send them to work with the universities for retraining, upskilling, because they fundamentally already have a lot of appreciation for the business, the mathematical models that's required to solve some of these problems. And the industry is abstracting away a lot of the very low-level programming necessary to access this technology, right? So I'm speaking for IBM, right? We have an open source development kit called Qiskit, right? And we just launched functions like Qiskit functions, right? So which means that it's almost like a Python library that you call, right? And it's able to do things like chemistry simulations, and it's able to do like things like optimization. So the next few years to come, we expect more of this abstraction to be taken away from the physicist level, and so that the classical data scientists would be able to take advantage of this technology a lot more readily. The fundamental question is, are you able to reframe your problem, right, in the right way to take advantage of a quantum computer? And that is really the secret sauce, right? And without experimentations, without the heuristics, right, you wouldn't be able to get that.
That's great. Thank you, Julian. I think I would want to move to some of the questions by the audience as well, given we are near time. Let's just look at the question here. Currently, I'm trying to get it on the screen. Currently, there are very few people with quantum experience. How should banks prepare their tech org for quantum to be ready in 3 to 5 years? We have covered some part of that, but
yeah, we actually talk about it. I think as Julian said, that yeah, how about send your employee for the training, work together with university, and I think that is a cost-effective way. And also, I mean, university, we are public university, right? And it's our duty and commitment to, share our knowledge and expertise to support the economic development in Singapore. This is something we are willing to do and we are happy to do. Yeah.
I think the other way will be capability building. Yeah, I think it's to probably start looking into what I kind of briefly spoke about. I think it's to look at tech, non-tech kind of training with regard to quantum, and I think that's a hard skill side. Tech will probably mean in terms of quantum cryptography and non-tech part is also important because I think as we mentioned, there's a lot of collaboration that's going on. So the soft skill part of things like collaboration, critical thinking, and all that are important as well. I think that's where they can start building.
I want to put this question up. Apart from multi-objective optimization problem, is there any other use case of quantum algo that can apply in fintech?
Maybe I answer. Actually, in addition to the multi-objective optimization, we are also working on quantum machine learning for a credit model. And so far, my team always work with real-world data. And so far, we see that for certain, let's say, recovery rate prediction, and using quantum machine learning, quantum neural network, and it can really achieve better results in terms of, for example, the prediction accuracy. Yeah.
Actually, I love this question, so I'm going to put it up.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Another thing is like a trading strategy, right? And for that part, I think quantum computing can also help because, certain trading strategy, you really need to finish within very short period, let's say middle scope, up to second, right? And for that part, quantum computing can be very useful. Of course, as Julian mentioned, for the risk management, quantum computing is really, has a lot of potential there.
So portfolio optimization, risk management, so on.
Yeah, and also a trading strategy.
Trading strategies, absolutely. This is a very good question, and no offense to Prof. Ng. Searching on LinkedIn, most, if not all, quantum roles require a PhD as a talent. PhD as a talent. How do I enter this space without one? I'm sure somebody is asking who is not a PhD yet. I'm one.
I don't think you need a PhD to use quantum computing and AI to have impact on your field. And you do need a PhD if you want to write a theoretical paper to show how much convergence rate and how fast is the speed up and so on. But if you just want to use this emerging technology to speed up, to gain, let's say, business value, I think what you need is more like a training, right? And you can quickly get the hands-on experience and you see the business perspective and then you can go ahead.
If I may just add on, I think there's a lot of good courses around other than SMU and NUS, and IBM has actually a comprehensive program. I think the world going forward is actually a skills first world. I think gone are the days where you actually sit inside for a long period of time to attend courses. Right? This is more like a DIY education generation where you learn enough to contribute to your work, and as you progress, you take up more courses, you learn. So just look out for all courses. You don't really need a PhD, honestly. Yeah.
That's very good to know. I'll pass it on to Julian, the next question. Do you see regulators developing in-house quantum talent or investing more in collaborations with, I would say, industry, academia, etc.? Given your work, you must be collaborating quite a lot with the
regulators. I'm pick why so specific as regulators, right?
Let's look at it as public bodies, right?
Right. Well, in developing in-house talents, I think it's a mixture of both, right? The leading edge of people that knows the technology is going to be coming from the industry, right? In the academia, right? And you want to have that cross-pollination between the people at the breeding edge of the technology and the people that can deploy this technology within your organizations, right? Not just regulation, but I think in any organization. So I think it boils back down to the first question that we have, right? How do we get the trainings and all that? So yeah, so I do see it's the.
So I think that to a certain extent, funding is also very important. So in fact, our own regulator announced a $100 million funding into AI and quantum technologies just a couple of months ago.
Yes.
That funding is important for financial institutions to actually start putting in the resources.
Yes, I think so. So I wanted to add on to the funding as well, right? So I think it's also important for the banks, organizations to also sponsor a quantum project, right? Because you also need to have the, so quantum is a very, you got to think about quantum as a very different technology, right, from others. It has enormous potential, right? In fact, it's been said that it could even be more promising, more disruptive than what internet did for the industry, right? Pre-internet days, we couldn't imagine what internet could be doing, right? And what can quantum be doing 10 years from now, 20 years from now? I don't think we know the answer, right? So I think this will be a winner-take-most type of technology, right? So when this becomes a full-fledged, capable, right, and the companies that has really invested, grown projects, they'll be able to take advantage of this really, really fast. For those that's trying to keep up, right, they also have to grapple with the capacity of quantum computers out there, right? Quantum computers are enormously hard to build, right? And even if you say, I want to pay $100 million to get one, you may not be able to get one till 10 years down the road, right? So you got to think about that as well.
Anything else to add from you on this? Okay. Let's come to the most interesting part of the session today. Given it's a talent stage, what's one piece of advice that you want to give to an aspiring talent into the quantum space? Let's start with Prof. Ing.
Okay. I think don't be afraid of quantum computing. I mean, afraid in the sense, don't think, oh, this is very fancy stuff. And just take it like blockchain, like AI. I mean, I'm quite sure you use ChatGPT quite often nowadays, right?
When did your journey into quantum start?
I have a lot of international collaborator, and someone mentioned this quantum entanglement, and we made a lot of joke on it. But it also triggered my interest. So I start, looking what people are doing or working on that, and then I start working on myself. Yeah.
So we all need a quantum entanglement to get started.
Yeah. Start from quantum entanglement. Yeah. But I think the quantum computing has a lot of fun, and now of course it is not yet completely ready. Like everything is perfect, but I think it's the right time to start trying yourself and understanding more about it. And you will see it's quite useful, and just experience.
For me, it's quite simple. Just learn, and keep learning. I think that's important. I think everything is new with AI, then with quantum. I think we can't be professing that we are expert in every field, but I think new things crop up every day. I think we just have to keep learning. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, for me, it's I think of this as just a very amazing technology, right? So, I always quote this, right? Arthur C. Clarke, right? If a technology is sufficiently powerful, right, it's indistinguishable from magic, right? So if you think about the cell phone, right, our parents would be thinking that, oh, you guys are so lucky, you have such amazing capabilities. But you go back one generation, your grandparents, right, you'll be thinking that you're a magician, right? Because at the touch of a button, a metal wagon will come and pick you up, right, grab, right? So if we fast forward, right, 100 years from now, right, what would the future generation be thinking about us, right, at the emergence of quantum computing? Right, it's such a crazy, fascinating thing to just think about this, right? So I would, and that's what that packed me into this as well, right? I would say be bold, right? Everybody in this room here, in this forum, is privileged because we are at the forefront of this technology, right? And how this technology comes to bear is really up to us, right, to determine.
So be bold, learn, and get your mind switched on the moment you hear quantum entanglement. Is that what we hear? I don't know about you guys, but I really learned a lot today, given that quantum computing has its own applications in financial services, portfolio optimization, risk management, as well as trading optimization, trading efficiency improvement. In addition to that, it does pose quite a bit of risk as well, for which you can look at post-quantum cryptography. It can be using the quantum methodologies, but not really quantum computing. It's still a few years from now, hopefully earlier than that. But most importantly, I think from today's discussion, one thing is for sure, start thinking about the applications of the emerging tech and the convergence of emerging techs into the user applications. That's where the future is, and that's where all of us will be helping grow the ecosystem together. Thank you so much, and I really like to thank all my panelists here.